Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a Diamond Doomfist. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Okay.
1.
So you're running the Doomfist, you have Reinhardt, and then Anna Moira. Okay. And we don't know who your second support is, or your second tank is going to be. That makes things harder. Val says Spylo is so fashionable, we would never say anything bad about him. Yeah, okay. That's her trying to avoid getting in trouble in the Discord, because Spylo got pinged and laughed, but hey. Okay, so you guys are just kind of stalling this out because you were down a player. But the match is not going to cancel because the player did get there in time. Yeah, okay. Yep. Okay, no big problems here. She doesn't know you're empty, so she's not going for it. That's okay. So, we're mostly looking at right things here. You do this, you box guard the body, she leaves and doesn't have a way back to it now, so you're gonna go for this. Yeah, okay, she's the right target. And you don't greed, and I'm impressed that you don't greed that. But this here even is a little greed. Like, close the angle faster. And just go for your mini. Like, I know that the Moira's following you with Fade, and that's cool and all, but I don't, like, care. I don't want her to have to spend time, and you're perfectly happy to go over here. You're just deciding to not. If that's the case, like, close this angle harder so they can't see you. One or the other. Spyro thought it was funny we identified his other job. Then offered a deal with coupon code LOL Temporal Discord 15% off the next performance enhancing substance purchase from him. Okay. Resurrecting right in front of a Doom with no cooldowns is really fun. It would have been, but the person likely wasn't aware they had no cooldowns. It was a good bluff from our Doom. Obviously, we know better than this. So we punched out here. Not really sure what the plan was. Like, do we not like walking? Like, there wasn't really a good reason to go here like this. Like, you used your abilities to position yourself to left click. That's not really optimal, but okay. Get your staging. Get your staging.
Your time's run out.
What are you doing?
Your time's
This
run
is
out.
good. So far, so good. We have no issue with what's happened so far. We're out of cooldowns. We're shooting the wall for no reason. Why are we going back in? Like, we're not ready to go back in. The only thing that we're going to have available if we go back in right now is punch. And even if we charge our punch for a second, our next two abilities aren't going to be available. And you might be thinking, oh, but I'm only going to punch if someone steps here again for me to punch into. But you're just risking your life for not enough upside. Like, what if Hanzo turns and headshots you? What if Soldier hits you with a Helix and some damage? What if Hanzo gets mercy boosted? Like, with this, there's not a reason to open this angle yet. The only thing you're getting here is a chance to fish for an elimination that you then struggle to get out of, and if you don't get the elimination, you'll get eliminated. And a tiny bit of scouting of are they here. But you don't really care if they're here or not because you can't do anything about them being here. You're being greedy for no good reason. Like, you don't have your abilities. You can't do anything even if they... No. Look at this. Soldier sees you and is shooting at you. Hanzo sees you and is shooting at you. And you're delivering left clicks. There's a Mercy Diva Soldier over there who are way better than you right now. and you're delivering left clicks. Like, I get it. There's a little bit of, oh, but it's off angle pressure, and that makes it better for my team, except your team isn't really threatening them right now. You see this? Your team was a Reinhardt and a Hammond, and they're not going in. You can see them through walls. You can see that they're not really doing anything to threaten the other team. That Reinhardt's clearly got his motion up with his arm up for shielding, not his hammer swinging across. That ball is through a wall. There's a wall between him and the team. So, like, you're not even getting good off-angle value right now. This would be good off-angle value in the sense of their default going to pay attention forward to your tanks if you went in hard for something, but it's not good off-angle value in, like, I'm going to pressure with my left clicks, which aren't very threatening, to let my front line do work, which is the only real value you could get right now because you don't have cooldowns. And you then immediately have to use your punch to leave, and now you're just further staggered and further delayed from being able to make a real play. Hoping I would hit the Mercy with Punch, but even if you hit the Mercy with Punch, you were going to then be stuck in there and get eliminated. Like, it's not particularly good. Okay. Unfortunate that she coalesced there, but this is the right idea. I mean, I get what you want. So you're here. It's unfortunately too late to get Hanzo because he's figured out Doomfist's critical Achilles heel, which is getting higher than the Doomfist. No, we do not mean that in the substance way. We mean that in the actual elevation way. But you see you see Divas right here. And you're charging the right click, which again, you can't get the Hanzo with anymore. So let's just punch the Diva. It's going to slide them a little past our Reinhardt, and we're not going to love that. Like, don't get me wrong, we're not going to love that. Our Reinhardt's going to think we're trolling him a little bit, but, like, we can punch him, and then we could follow up on it if we wanted. Punch the Doomfist, Doomfist goes away, and then we go for a slam, uppercut, and put ourselves back over here type thing where we've got the Coalescence helping us out. Like, that's okay. That's perfectly okay. It's better than trying to go deep for this. Like, yes, it would be great to punch eliminate the Mercy, but this punch is so much harder that you're going for. You are so much less likely to hit that than the punch here that, oh, what do you know, hits this Diva hard and her DM does nothing. And then you're just going to uppercut and slam out type thing so the Hanzo doesn't get you. Like, not a big deal. You can't get out now. You're doomed. Like, if you set up and stage well for a dive, fantastic. But if you're not super well staged for a dive, you sort of need to take what's there rather than put yourself in a ton of trouble like you did. Just a question, what to do is Genji, if your team's tanks are very passive and don't push, Farm Blade. Take angles, don't go deep in, well, you've got two options as Genji. You can go try to make absolute assassination plays where you just like walk up behind their supports or their 200 HP squishies and just eliminate them. But you literally walk right up to them type thing before firing. Or you can just take angles, and if your tanks are playing here, and even if they're playing super passive, and you go take this angle or this angle, that will put pressure on the other team. That will either cause them to turn towards you or will let you farm Blade very easily because they're continuing to pay attention here. And if they turn towards you or let you farm Blade easy, well, you understand your tank should push even if they're passive when they turn towards you. If they don't turn towards you, you'll farm Blade very fast off of them just by throwing shurikens from the side. And if they back up to try to continue to block both your tanks and you, well, then you just deepen your angle again. Plus, your tanks will probably move even if they're passive. But even if your tanks don't move in any of those situations, taking angles is the correct answer, and deepening the angles as they back up is the correct answer. Okay. Good. Probably not. So, like, I'm good with this. But I'm probably circling. Like, I don't really have much interest in pushing main. I see that Tracer and Hammond have already circled, so maybe your decision is you want to circle through this side so that on your next set of cooldowns you can come from over here. And that's fine with me, but I don't really want to go this way. Why are we leaving?
This way.
Because you want heals? I mean, yeah, okay. Okay. I'll live with that.
Hello there.
Now you're just trolling them.
Hello there.
Punch out to go get heals. You get some heals. You see this happen. Yeah, okay. This is reasonable. This was less reasonable because it leaves you hanging in the open with no cooldowns. Like, when you were using all of your cooldowns and staying right here and you were just hard peeling a Winston, that was fine. You're out of the fight. Using your last cooldown and ending up over here is much less reasonable. And you didn't have to use this cooldown to go after the Winston here. Like, it was good to be putting pressure on him, but not to the point that it put you in the danger.
Meteor strike.
And again, you might have been thinking to yourself, no, it's okay for me to go in danger because I have the out. But your team isn't really threatening these guys very hard. Like, yes, your Tracer's doing her job. Yes, your Hammond is going in. But, like, you know that your backline is pretty disrupted, pretty shook at this point from the primaling Winston that was just in there. They're not really ready to support this push, including your Reinhardt. So, I don't love going for the ult here. It's not some, oh my god, this is terrible thing. It's right to go for the ult. Now that you've put yourself over here and gotten into trouble, it is correct to go for the ult to get your cooldowns back and to potentially get ult damage value as well. And just go, okay, I will go with a super all-in off of it. That's like right now that you put yourself in this situation. But you didn't have to put yourself in this situation. The Winston sort of leaping out over here was sort of like, okay, I won't follow him. And then you're good. Because, like, even though you're going to get your cooldowns back, you're not going to have any health because you've sort of been catching up on health this whole time with the supports that returned, all that jazz. Yeah. Doom mains are a rare sight. Yeah, he's a Doom main. Don't know many Doom mains either. Seems extremely impossible to deal with in Silver, and actually feels like he is overpowered, at least in Silver. He's not. He's a little challenging because, hey, he does get punished hard by focus fire when he's in, which is obviously lacking. But the real solution to your Doomfist woes is to chip down this HP bar before he comes in. And if you understand him, you understand that if he's doing his rollouts from high ground, which is where he wants to do most of his rollouts, especially if he's not punch botting, he needs to be able to come in from above his opponent. So if you get above him, and if you chip his HP down even just a little bit, the dive is never going to come. He's a dive hero who has much more limited positioning that they can dive from. There's a ton of rollouts to memorize, but has more limited positions that they can dive from, is less flexible in where he can dive from if he wants to get good dives than like a Tracer, a Genji, a Winston, something like that. So you look at that and go, okay, I get it. And you go, you can learn his spots, that's a lot of work for one hero, still something you can and should do, but you should also just conceptually understand he's going to want to come from above. If he can't get above you, he's going to be unhappy because it really limits the options. He can't really get you with slams, doesn't work very well, and he really needs to be able to come in with full health. And if you just never let him have full health, even if you're just a Lucio riding the walls and you just chip him down, or a Tracer who goes and constantly finds him and puts a little pressure on him, he's never going to be able to get a good dive done. Even Divas can hang out in their own back line and DM their team when he comes in to make sure he can't get the finish with the left clicks that he usually needs to make the combo work. But Divas can also go up and shoo him out of his high ground, battle him up there, etc. He won't be happy. Adam Nicholas Khan. Hello, my name is Khan. I am flex support for Paris Eternal. I would like to say Temporal is a liar. He never coached me, and if he hypothetically did, he would be a terrible coach and he is bald. Okay, well, I mean, that didn't happen. You know, Khan and I were clearly on phase 2 at the same time, but hey, in we go.
No, like Connor did. No, like Connor did.
Though we certainly didn't have a long tenure together. Khan did join phase 2, and Khan was with phase 2, but Khan was with phase 2 mostly in the off season, before deciding that he couldn't handle the sleeping shift that he had to do to play on a North American team from Europe, and then he went and joined a European team. So he was with us, but he wasn't actually with us for live serious competition. Just a couple months of between season stuff. Okay, let's go back here.
Don't trust
Let's go back here.
Don't trust
Yeah, how do I want to talk to you about this? So here you are, you have your cooldowns, your ball's going in, does that. That's fine. You get stunned and you just need to get out now.
Don't trust me.
But you decide to all in instead. Okay. And then you decide to turn that into getting out, but this is not a very good out path. Your out path after he rolled away was back this way to get the health pack. Like, you guys have 99. There's not a huge amount of pressure on you. You have a minefield on you. I understand wanting to go this way, but once that McCree closed that angle, your decision was to punch out this way because he's not going to quickly be able to follow you up with a follow-up shot to finish you off now. And then you can circle, get your cooldowns back. He doesn't know if you'll come back this way, you'll come back this way, you'll come back this way, etc. This, like, you're in. You're in with no cooldowns. You might not think you're in, but you're very much in. Adam Nicholas says, Temporal, yeah, Coach Scotty's my pro player protege. Never said that. Never said that. Also, Temporal, well, I coached him in the offseason for 2 months. Also, Temporal, I never won a tournament. Listen to me and not Jen. You should listen to me and not Jen. And it's true. My accomplishments and contenders are podium finishes. I did not win Gauntlet. That's not a thing that happened. If you understand the contender scene, and I know you're trolling me, Adam, and it's fine. If you understand the contender scene, especially at the era that I played in, the contender scene now is like, oh, hey, there's a tournament every 2 months. The contender scene used to be there's like 2 tournaments a year. Or 2 seasons a year where you play a round robin season and then you do a playoff tournament. And so they were a bigger deal than the modern, okay, we have a tournament every 2 months type thing. But what I was getting into there is how do I say this? Like, you have a team, and the reality is you're looking to move a team up. You're looking to move a team up. You're looking to make a team do better. But you're not expected, when you have a team that is expected to get 7th or 8th place, to go win with that team. Like, you don't have the roster. You don't have the players. You don't have the payment. Oh, super chat coming in from Thales Daniel for 2 saying, hey, Temporal, just testing super chat, handling Brazilian dollars. Okay, cool. Well, it did work. Thank you, Thales, for testing the super chat there. I will happily take that. Thank you so much. So yeah, what you're looking at that era in contenders, and what you're looking at in the modern era of contenders too, is you're not actually expecting, like, the players that are on a team that's expected to get 7th, 8th, the coaches that are on a team that is expected to get 7th, 8th, aren't then like, oh my goodness, why aren't you getting first? You as an individual player couldn't be looked at for better teams because you're not winning. Like, if you take a team that is expected to get 8th, is expected to get relegated to trials, and then you go, oh, hey, we got 2nd place, especially in the era that I competed in where you were where you were competing against teams that had salaries, that had multiple paid staff, that had gaming houses. What you're looking at there is those are different levels of resources. You're not expected to beat those teams. You're expected to Like, if you do beat them, it's fantastic, but what happens is you identify, oh wow, like, holy cow, they did that with this, let's give them real resources now, and that's how you get academy offers. That's how you get owl offers. Like, you're always being judged by what you're driving. If you look at the Boston Uprising, and if you look at Krusty even, like, anyone who goes and coaches Boston, for example, people know that that's a feat. Oh, we have a super chat, 199 coming in from Adam. Hey Thalos, Temporal is making excuses for second. Sure. What you're looking at when you see those sorts of things, it would be similar to the Oakland A's in baseball, where everyone knows that they're not actually management isn't actually building that team to win. You're not expected to win with those resources because the A's have historically done things like anytime they start to get a team that looks at all okay, they trade away all their good players. That's just what the A's do. And Boston has done very similar things. So anyone working for Boston or playing on Boston understands, I mean, maybe they don't understand it, but they should understand it. The rest of the league understands it, that is a team that plays the game that way. And as such, you're not being judged as harshly for not winning as Boston as you might for not winning on Shock, as an example, but even less extreme than Shock for not winning on, more middle of the road teams type things. Like, you get a handicap effectively when playing on Boston because people understand how that works. If you ain't first, your last. End of discussion. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. I do love my favorite troll. Okay. There we go. Hey, I didn't win, but listen to how great I am for not winning. Thank you. I do love my favorite troll. Do you receive it in dollars then, or is it useless? Well, it converts it to dollars. Yeah, I can't tell you exactly what it converted to. I'd have to run it through a conversion calculator, but it converted to dollars, yes. Temporal lost and can't accept it? What are you talking about? I accepted it just fine. I got podium finishes. He's the I should have been top 500. Top 500 isn't very high. Okay. Anyway, back to our Doomfist here. Thank you both for the super chats, though. I do appreciate that. And I do have the best trolls. Okay. Sure. I don't really love you pushing up. This is good. Your team's adjusting.
The objective is mine! Join me if you will!
Okay, so here we are. You go for your elevator. Elevator's nice because it gives you extra height. And you just kind of have to know that that's how that terrain works, that he doesn't count as a connection on it. So you were trying to 1v2, and you were trying to 1v2 without the possibility of getting the punch into that there. So you either had to change your order so you could punch him into the wall, or you needed to accept that it wasn't going to work and punch out. Like, that's fine. Sometimes that's the value you get. You distracted him and now you have to leave type thing. But if you distracted him while he was in the 1v2, that can be worth it if it's while your team is hard engaging. In fact, it would have been worth it. If you'd managed to get out here, if you'd done your slam uppercut and then punch out to the right and leave type thing, you've tied up their Mercy and McCree, not for very long, but for the critical seconds that, look, your team went in hard and wiped them out. If you then survive, this is a team fight win. Because you didn't survive, because you were going, no, I'm Doomfist, I have to get eliminations, it's not enough to tie people up at the right moment, even though it's a pair that you're tying up, because you all end like this, you've now put this team fight back in question. It is not guaranteed that your team is going to win this. Even though they're up one, they don't have high ground control. If you'd survived and both of these people had still gone down, which is totally a doable thing, you win this team fight for sure. We have the best trolls, people, believe me. I will tell you that. They're tremendous. More trolls do it. Our trolls do a fantastic job, people. Okay, okay, you're going for the impersonation there. I like it. I like it. You didn't quite give me enough to work with. I would have tried to fade into voice and everything, but I just couldn't quite feel the spirit there for the impression. Would it have been better to wait for that health pack to respawn? No? So, like... Let me get our order right here. No, because the timing was now. Like, if you look at what the engagement timing is, the reason that his team is able to get value, and the reason he's able to get value, if you look at this, is this is when the fight is happening. So this is, in fact, when he needs to make his play. If he waits, that health pack still isn't spawned yet. You see what I'm saying? So... You actually do a pretty good Donald hand gestures, no? I believe it. I believe it. Might take a little more practice for me. Okay, so here we are. So he had to go in now. Like, he has enough health to justify it. He has to go in now, and he gets this. And it's okay. If he does the slam uppercut and then punches out, whatever, that's going to be fine. And his team is still going to have a successful dive, which Tracer is having right now, taking out that Hanzo, which... Like, this dive is looking successful, and we're good with what's happening in this dive. This dive potentially looks less successful if McCree is allowed to stand right here and High Noon and deny the Valk, and High Noon and deny the follow-up on Shatter. You see what I'm saying? See how that goes? We don't like that. 1 second. Okay.
On me.
My intention was to all in and tied there, but Mercy denied me the elimination and I didn't react in time. Right, and you just have to accept that when you dive people, Mercies are going to peel for them. When you dive people, Divas are going to peel for them. When you dive people, Lucios and Briggs are going to peel for them. And you have to go, well, do I have to all in and get the elimination here? Can I get out safely? And you don't always have the option to get out safely. So sometimes you do have to all in even when they get peel. Frequently, you're going to all in even when they get peel. But you do have to be deciding, you do have to have some awareness of what's going on over here in the feed, and am I solving a problem for your team? Because you were solving an important problem for your team right there of, hey, there's a McCree on high ground, and we don't like that, and that McCree was not stopping your team during your team's critical engage. So, like, you were being a worse version of Diva, sort of a worse version of Diva, maybe even worse version of Genji, maybe similar level version of Genji of like, okay, let me do a Diva impersonation to not let you get value. Yeah.
Don't let me. I'll capture this objective.
Okay, you're up enough. I guess I can justify that.
Hello, goodbye.
Meteor strike. Stay down.
Okay. So we're really so far in a no one to run situation. Over here, you tried to punch in this way towards your team for safety rather than punching out over here. Over here, you did plenty to the McCree, and then you tried to finish him rather than get out type thing. Over here, you did the, aha, yes, I'm peeling the primaling Winston, peeling the primaling Winston. Now we'll go in after him. Oh, shoot, now I have to pop my Doomfist ult and go here, etc. So, like, this is really a recognizing when it's time to transition into, nope, we did it type thing, and not fall some people into danger, that sort of thing. When to bail effectively. But that's okay. We'll find more.
Peace be upon you.
Aerith, you do you, bro. Don't listen to this nerd. You're playing great. He's playing just fine. They got the win, but we can make it better.
Changing position. System health compromised. Executing flight maneuvers. The objective is now active.
Hello.
Baptiste,
You're welcome.
Winston reporting.
Second selection is bad. We'll see. You might do fine with her, maybe. I know you've seen it and I haven't, but hey.
Moving up. Like taking damage.
Okay, so that was some early round poke.
Hello there.
Yeah, gotta be aware of the off angles there. Gotta be aware of the off angles.
System reboot complete.
Taking the point.
No. Like, you couldn't do this, and I don't know why you thought you could. You're doing this, and you're like, yes, I'm gonna take them. Like, think about what this was from the get-go. My Mercy's Ethic got eliminated. Wait, that's 4 people at least. It's 4 people at least. Maybe you throw your stickies out, but then you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. Ugh. Ugh. And then you drift back into the open because you're like, no, I want the finish. The finish for what? Your team just got rolled. The finish isn't even going to do anything for you. You're much more likely to get staggered than to get a trade back. And if you get a trade back, it buys you almost nothing.
Objective Sloan.
Neural adaptation complete.
Hello.
Hello there.
Are you going to loop around for the right or no?
Flight routine activated.
Okay. You don't have the mobility to fight her right now. Okay. Good.
Adjusting angle of attack.
Where's Frey?
Surrender to my will.
Restoring health system.
If we are to progress, we must
Okay.
claim the objective.
You need to put a little more of a mental flag in where their Kree is. You need to watch your angles a little more, and you need to actually take advantage of Echo's ability to take angles. Like, I don't like how much you were trying to push like here. I wanted you to push through. Eventually, you got led to pushing through this way, but I sort of wanted you pushing through this way the whole time, not just sort of going the same direction as your team, with your only difference being you have a little bit of height. But let's continue.
Rendezvous at my position.
Cancel if you don't have anything, but
Executing flight maneuvers.
Greeting.
Executing flight maneuvers.
you don't really want to go hard into this. Like, your team is trying to back out, you've used your flight to go in, and even if you get an elimination with your flight/focusing beam combination, you're stuck in. Like, you're forcing your own duplicate here in a fight that your team isn't going to back up. Your team is clearly retreating, and half of your team just isn't even anywhere near this. So, like, we couldn't go into this. We could give our team cover to retreat, we could throw stickies, we could fly up and spam with left clicks, don't get me wrong, but this level of actually diving in with our only mobility and then requiring our ult to get out, I'm not really a fan of this. This is your Doomfist play showing up on Echo, but Doomfist has multiple abilities for movement. Echo really has 1+ ult. Doomfist has 3+ ult.
Burning them down. Adaptive circuits engaged. Diva. Amplifying forward shield.
Rain from above.
Farewell.
Wait.
Amplifying forward shields.
You don't return on DM?
Farewell.
Okay.
Goodbye. Sloan.
Weird.
Upgrade my APS. Adjusting. System.
We must protect the objective.
Enemy seen. Take cover.
This ult doesn't represent my general gameplay, I swear. Okay.
Reboot complete.
Nerf this.
It was early with the focusing beam, and why it didn't get her. It's not actually that high damage of a move if you don't use it. Okay.
Finishing them off.
Sure.
Restoring health system.
Why did you just fly at her?
Restoring health
Like, here you
systems.
are. Reasonable. And here you are, and you're like, yep, and I'm gonna find things to do.
Restoring health systems.
And you decide that you want to push the Pharah. Do you know the Pharah's missing health? Is that why you're pushing her?
Lifting off.
And you're not gonna stay high ground after you chance there. I just don't know that you even wanted to push the Pharah. Okay. Not without a little bit more tool-wise. Like your focusing beam. Get the trade though, that's fine.
Hello there.
Get into position. Risk boost.
Flight routine activated. Adjusting angle of attack. Locking on.
It's early
Adjusting
again.
angle of attack.
Like, he's not even half health, and beyond not even being half health, well, Moira's gonna fall, but there was a Moira right behind him. So, like, you definitely had to have him to half health. You had to have him below half health, because if you get him near half health and then focusing beam, and Moira does any healing, you're never gonna get him under half health. So, like, you're gonna be using a big important cooldown and not get him. You've pulled the trigger on this early quite a few times now.
Locking on. Repairing internal fence.
Ooh, that was scary.
Moving up.
Group up with me. Hello. Farewell. Sloan.
I don't know, I see a Pharah get close to them, too many hours on Doom. Well, you actually like as Echo to get close and challenge Pharahs. Like, that is your preference in some ways. You have better flight maneuverability than she does, and you have better precision with your left click than she does in a lot of ways. So, like, you do like challenging them up close. I just didn't particularly like getting quite that in her face when your focusing beam wasn't available. How do I want to describe this? Like, you do like to tie up Pharahs. You do like to sort of get in their faces, not let them have freedom, because if you're both just going, hey, let's shell each other's ground teams, she is a little bit better than that at you. Your sticky bombs are nothing to be trifled with, but her left click is more effective for just shelling the opposing team than yours is, at least in its modern form. So, like, that is a strength of hers. Whereas in the actual aerial battle, you tend to do better. A little different when she is the Echo, a little different when you force it when cooldowns are in question, but yeah.
Thanks, love.
Going free.
Push forward.
And it doesn't help that she's getting a fair amount of mercy attention and you're getting 0, but that's life.
Attack the objective.
Taking off.
My servants never die.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Oh boy. That's not the duplicate you wanted.
Reverting personalities. Echo online.
Okay. Nice moment there. Okay, are you gonna stay Echo or go back to Doomfist? I thought you played more Doomfist here, but...
5, 4.
Okay, you're staying on Echo.
Group up with
Okay,
me.
so we'll keep going, but the things that are immediately calling out to us on your Echo are, of course, that you do use that focusing beam early too often, and that focusing beam is a long cooldown, so you want to be aware of it. You'd like to have focusing beam available when you go into flights to try to finish people off. Like, that's a pretty big deal, but you can't try and force it and finish people off early. The damage multiplier on it is huge, but its damage without the damage multiplier is pretty meh. You're better off left-clicking people. You really are. The other thing that we're going to get into, or that's immediately calling to us, we could talk about more angle play, and it would certainly be relevant, but the other thing that we're going to talk about short-term, at least for now, is your ult usage. Obviously, Mercy was not the person to copy there. Obviously, your copy on Diva was not particularly well driven, so we're going to have to think a little bit more about our copies, and we want to, while copy can be an out, and it can be a pretty reasonable out, it's not quite used the same as how Doomfist ult can be used as an out, or how Doomfist ult used to be used as an out. You do want to be more aware of, like, it's a lot to give up to get a bad copy with her. You want to make sure that even if you're playing more aggressive because you have her ult and you know you can duplicate to get yourself out of a rough spot, you still then have to get value out of her duplicate. That is way more important than it is to get value out of Doomfist's ultimate. Doomfist Q, if you just use it to retreat in the end, at least before the current patch, really wasn't a big deal. That was a perfectly valid use of it. That's not good enough for hers. You have to know who you're going to copy, you have to get a good copy, and you have to get pretty darn good value out of it. Like, it is really important for her. So you have to have a plan. Even if you're going, I'm playing more aggressive, I'm playing harder than I normally would because I have that ult, you have to know who's in the area that you're going to be able to copy, and you have to know that your team is going to be able and willing to take that fight, because you cannot throw away that ult. It's a much better ult than Doomfist's ult. Just stopping in to say temporal sucks. Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
Farewell.
Back to him
Goodbye.
after a fight. Okay.
Moving up.
Ouch. Yeah, I mean, playing into pharmacy when you don't get a mercy and their Kree is paying attention to you, not fun.
The objective.
Doomfist isn't really going to be better for this, but hey. So, like, if you're looking for something to play when teams start being annoying to you when you're on Doomfist like this, with combinations like this, because this is a pretty annoying Doomfist combination, you could try to play like an Echo, but obviously Echo, while Echo is a pretty good matchup against Ferret, is not against McCree. You might want to think about as a swap, not saying you have to swap. I'm totally fine with you going, I'm going to play these heroes. But if the reason you went to Echo is you were looking for a swap to try to not get punished as hard, you're probably actually looking for a longer range hit scan, like an Ashe type thing. Something who can potentially play outside of McCree's range and give him some trouble, something that also gives Pharah trouble, that sort of thing. But that's okay.
I'm going in. I'm going in.
It's Tracer that counters Pharah, not Doomfist. Tracer will do that quite well, yes. Your hero Puddle doesn't allow for many swaps. That's okay. That's okay.
This will restore you. Pearlescent is charging.
Cool. And now you need to leave for the mini. Yep. Yeah. That's okay. That wasn't too far over the aggression line. an all-in, but it's a 4v1 all-in.
I need healing. Heal me.
There you go. You waited for your cooldowns. You waited for the healing. Good answer there, Artists. Good answer. Lean into the trolling. Okay, cover. I don't think you want to be up here. I don't think you want to do that.
No chance.
Like, you're just like, I'm going up. You know that the diva's there. But, like, congratulations, you've shown up, and this was never going to take down the diva. Like, you're not in a ton of danger. You do have the Hanzo up here. I don't really know that you wanted to be up here just to help without having any actual tools besides your left click to help. But, oh well.
Surrender.
Sure. And now tuck. Good.
Fire. All evidence towards this way.
You're gonna walk right back up your flank. Yeah, there you go.
Farewell.
I didn't have any issue with what you were saying there. I wasn't calling that part trolling. I was talking about expanding the hero puddle. We've seen people swap to Tracer to counter Pharah more than once, and Tracer gets the elimination somehow. Yeah, no, I mean, Pharah doesn't like it when anytime she gets anywhere near the ground, a Tracer shows up and drains her health pool. And her hitbox is a little on the big side, which makes it nice for Tracer as well. You wanted to use boosters to push her off the map? Okay. Okay. Little dicey, but okay. Yeah. I can live with this. This is obviously fine. And then you decide that you're going to go for this, and you decide that you're going to do this rather than leave type thing. Leaving isn't perfect right now. Obviously, there's this going on, which we don't love. So this does become tiny bit on the grade side, but a totally acceptable option for you to do this with the slam, and then just try to back out towards core. Yeah. Man, I just want to watch this Fire Doom VOD, and this bald guy keeps talking about angles and cooling stuff down, right?
Meteor strike.
Excuse me? This is early. I can see that your ball's in there, but think about how early this is. Your ball is doing this to help your team rotate, not as a serious engagement. You see how, like, your team is all back here? Your Hanzo can contribute a little. Your Zen can't contribute. Like, you're going in hard like this is a real engage. This isn't a real engage from your ball. Yes, he's using his adaptive shield. Yes, he's willing to use cooldowns. But, like, this is him going, let me pressure these guys so they rotate out a bit. If we happen to get an elimination, that's great. You are correct to go in on this because this is real enough from your ball, but you're not correct to use your ult here. That's really an investment too big. Like, again, your backline is not going to be helping enough with this for you to justify
Meteor strike.
this right here. Like, you've already done what you tried to here. Remember, anything that you do back here, your team is completely ages away from helping. And as I called, ball was already leaving. He did his I knock them and go back type thing. Like, he's good with what happened here. He was just trying to create some space for your team to rotate. And you're like, no, 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 this is an all-in. Whoops.
Hello there.
1v6, nice knowing you. He needs. Okay. There it is. There it is. I'll cover it after. So here we are. We're doing this. We're just sort of chilling in here. I don't really know how you're going to get out from here with Apricot. Like, I like that you're pressuring them from a different angle than your team. I do. But, like, I really don't know how you're going to get out from here, and that's a problem. Your Uppercut is not a good tool to get out with the portion of the map that you're on. Didn't get out with it. Got that, which is good, because now if we trade, it's not the end of the world, but... Oh boy.
This will heal you.
Glad it worked out.
Goodbye.
I am ready to unleash coalescence.
My ultimate is ready.
My ultimate is ready to be unleashed.
Temporal, I can donate a Space Eater if you let me know what your Patreon is. Blah, you know that, like, there is heat here. Everyone knows that there's heat here. The scarf just, overwhelms the heat. I don't know how to put that. And even if there wasn't heat here, gaming computers produce silly amounts of heat. We all know this. PCs are space heaters. Timed that wrong.
Overtime.
And now you're gonna flame out, sure.
Triple kill.
You gonna make this null in? It's fine if you do, yeah. Okay.
Victory.
So, here's what we're gonna say here.
Heal me.
Your Doomfist looks fine. Obviously, if it didn't look fine, it wouldn't be where it is in terms of diamond. But what we're gonna get into with your Doomfist is how do I want to put this? You need to realize when it's okay to bail. Like for you, it's not just that, oh, you're going in and then you don't have cooldowns left, okay? You hit some points where you need to make a decision of like, do you have to all in? Like you go for some things like this Reinhardt thing where it was barely acceptable, etc. And that's okay. But then you go for others where it's not. You've really got to find the edge of that knife a little bit better. This is a terribly drawn knife. You've got to find the edge of that knife just a little bit better in terms of finding okay, I can afford to go in hard off of this versus I need to use this to get out. How exactly do I want to get into this for you? I'm going to give plenty of examples, but I'd like to frame this in a way that's easy to understand. Okay. Turn brain on. It's not just turning your brain on, though. Like, turning your brain on is an oversimplistic picture of it, but it is this sort of thing of like, okay, if you're over tucked over here and your only ability left is uppercut, yeah, you're going to be forced to all in. Should you have been in this situation in the first place? Probably not, but that doesn't mean that you'll never end up in it because the situation on the ground can change. It was a good idea that became a worse idea type thing as the flow of the battle happened. But like, the McCree on the high ground is probably the best example of, hey, you need to be willing to change your job. Like you're thinking of Doomfist as, hey, I'm Doomfist, I go in hard, I do stuff, I trade out for eliminations, I either win or I feed. And win or feed is sort of one style of Doomfist, but you want to make your style with a few more turn-off points, a few more, hey, I engage, like we had over here, where ball went in hard, yeah, I win. I could. What we're doing is this is clearly Ball was trying to do the same thing that you should have done to that McCree earlier, where he was trying to just make space, trying to help his team out, trying to let his team do things. And you correctly supported that. You correctly went, well, while he's doing that, there may be an opening to get an elimination. And even if there's not, this is good pressure on the opposing team that helps our team rotate. And then you just have to recognize at that point, that is what we're doing. I am relieving pressure for my team. I'm here relieving pressure for my team. If there's a good elimination to take, great, but I can't be greedy while I'm doing this to relieve pressure for my team thing because my team is getting the value of rotating right here. And then we can go back to a previous map And we can say a very similar thing here. My team is hitting their push. My team is hitting their dive, etc. And it would be great if I could take out this McCree, but it's more important that I relieve this pressure, that I not let this person get done. And I know that's a weird thing to think about with Doomfist, because yes, usually you are the one trying to get the elimination, but just like often Genji is the one trying to get the elimination, the dash through finish, etc., sometimes he's the one who blocks out the McCree on high ground. Sometimes he's the one who goes, hey, let me send shurikens into your back so that you turn and you try to look at me while my team rotates in type thing. And if we go back to here, you can see that that's exactly what we want you to be able to do too, is a flexible Doomfist thing. Like, yes, don't get me wrong, your kit is built hard for heavy, strong engages, but your kit is also built with a lot of mobility and a lot of ability to go in, and then if you want, and you don't go wild hard, get out safely. And the ability to go in and get out safely can help your team with rotations and can help your team with hard commits. And that's something that we want. It's okay for your team to win somewhere else. Win either by they got the rotation or win by they got their dive on low ground that wins while you distract the high ground, etc. Like, that's an okay thing to do, and I want that to be in your kit to go like, wait, I can actually relieve pressure. I can tie someone up. I can relieve pressure for rotations. I don't have to always get the elimination myself, even though it looks like my hero is designed for that. So that's the first thing I want. Got a monocle and a top hat. Okay, so would using ult there and getting back to my team be better there? I guess it was, since I would be alive. Well, you could have, but you didn't have to use your ult there to get a like. You used your ult to go aggressive. You had plenty of health and you had cooldowns. Like, you went in hard here. And yes, it would have been better to use ult to go back to your team, but it would have been even better still to go, hey, I'm going to do my, I don't remember if you punched in, or I don't remember if you slammed in or if you punch slammed in, but it would have been fine to go, I do that, and then I uppercut and just sort of drift over to here type thing. Like, drift yourself back quite easily to one of these two spots with your last ability, and then you're safe here, you're safe here. They're not going to push through. If they try to push through into you on either side, they get crushed by your team. Does that make sense? Like, that would have been fine. If that wasn't an option, the terrain simply didn't allow for it, your uppercut was leaving you hanging and you started taking pressure, then yes, you would have gone for an ultimate. And your ultimate might have been take yourself back to your team, or it might have been take yourself right here, to again threaten this area, but then you immediately tuck behind cover type thing, and they can't follow you to deal with you. Does that make sense? It does make sense, yeah. And you had other options too. I mean, you could go live behind them if you want, get a mini, and then be ready to threaten from the back once your team has rotated forward type thing. You could do that as well, or go over here, have your high ground, whatever you want. But that's sort of what we're talking about there. Right. You need to remember where your team is, because your team's engagement strength is relative to your engagement strength. And while sometimes you can just brute force it and get the engagement, get the elimination all by yourself, it's rarely actually that you're getting it all by yourself. You might get an elimination on one person or in a 1v2 all by yourself, but the reason that you're getting a 1v1 or a 1v2 and not facing extreme amounts of peel is because your team is doing stuff. And if you are facing extreme amounts of peel, then you need to get out instead and trust that your team is going to be able to do stuff. And getting your engagement timing helps with that. Like, getting your engagement timing right definitely helps with that, understanding where your team is, but also understanding that it's okay for you to not get the elimination. It's okay for you to use all of your cooldowns and leave type thing. Like, that's okay. It's okay for you to go, aha, let me slam in, go for the punch. It's too hot. It's okay for you to leave type thing. You don't have to always be the one to get the elimination. You can do a bunch of disruptive pressure and then leave. Or after you get the McCree, you can leave. You don't have to go, well, let me go for more. Because I see a lot of that too. You go, I got one, and now I want more. When it's like, it's going to be tough to get multiple. Unless you just hard win the fight, it's going to be tough to get multiple unless you have your ult to reset you type thing. So that's sort of where I would start here. A little more attention to your team, a little more awareness that it's okay to be, instead instead of the eliminator, the distraction. I do not want your main playstyle to be the distraction. That's not at all what I'm recommending here. I want you to be aware that this sort of like budget diva thing exists, and it's something that you sometimes are going to have to play into, like we would have seen here, like we would have seen on the high ground on City Center. Was that? Yeah, City Center. That sort of thing. So then we move on to some echo here. And when we get echo, again, I really want you to be more aware that these people have their focusing beam. Make the focusing beam is really for when they're already below half health. You don't focusing beam people to try to get them to half health. You don't focusing beam them at like 60%, especially you don't focusing beam tanks at like 60%. You really want them, especially if there's a support around, to already be below 50% when you go for the focusing beam. It is not very good damage. It's not going to do a great job of forcing them below 50%, where it'll then ramp up its damage significantly. So really be more consistent about that. Also, really have to value that duplicate more heavily than you're valuing the Doomfist ult. The Doomfist ult, you sort of can just go, oh, whoops, I guess I'm in trouble and I better use it. The duplicate you can use as an out like that, but if you're thinking about it as you're out, you still have to know how you're going to get value out of it in terms of who are you going to copy while you're doing this dangerous thing, who is in range, who can you get on your screen to copy in a pinch immediately that actually has enough value to copy. So, not mercy. And is your team going to be able to do something with that fight? Again, which is a very similar issue to what we ran into here, where your team can't do squat off of you hitting this Doomfist slam here. That's not going to work. But your duplicates need to be the same. Like you turning into a Zarya, a Diva, a Reinhardt, whatever here isn't useful if your team is over there. So like you can't get caught in a situation where your duplicate is forced if your team can't contribute. So that's really what I want. I want a little more awareness of where the team is. I want a little more in terms of thinking about your ult use really on both of them, but it's even more important on the Echo. We talked about the focusing beam, and then we get into sort of the it's okay for you to do the I am the distraction. I am going in to help this rotation. I am going in to tie up the hit scan while my team does this. I want to eliminate the hit scan, but if I don't, I'm ready to pull out rather than to all in on it. Because if my team gets value and then I get traded out while my team was getting value, I didn't really do my job. Okay. I hope that made sense. It was a little more complicated, but get some budget diva play as Doomfist. Understand how to do it. It's not your main style, but understand it. Get some better understanding of the team engagement timing is what we're working on, and how your ults can work with that. And then, of course, we talked about focusing beam. If you have questions, you can throw them up in chat now. If you are, and that applies to the person being reviewed as well as everyone else there. If you're enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate it. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. Thanks a lot, man. In the scarf, I'll try to implement the tips. Okay, sounds good. Obviously, try to implement those. If you have further questions that you're just not thinking up right now, you can send them to me in DM. If they're quick questions, I'll answer them for you. If they're really complex, I might say, hey, no, we need to cover this in the next VOD. But you can send them, and I'll let you know what they are. Okay. How many more reviews lined up today? I will do at least one more before I do. I want to baby bundle at coaching requests, please. That's fine, Mercedes. I will do at least one more review, probably like nowish. I may take a few minutes first. Then I've got tryouts for Northeastern that I'm doing. So probably only one more review right now. And then later this evening, I'll probably do another review. And then I've got something to upload as well. Okay. Did I miss out on some trolling here? So you can probably move pretty fast out of spawn door and use the ult to refresh your cooldowns. You could, but that's not a great use of it. What does he mean about cooling stuff down opposite of a heater that Temporal doesn't have? Can't afford a heater. He needs Patreon so he can get donations to buy necessities. Temporal, I can donate a space heater if you let me know what your Patreon is. It has a fan. The computer has a fan. The computer does have a fan. It's true. Still a space heater. Scarf is beautiful. Thank you, Mentos. Thank you. Sorry, thanks for that punch. A monkey could do a better job of temporal or coaching. At coaching, do you mean? I don't know. I don't know. It looks like a monkey could do a better job of insulting me than Adam today. Temporal comes from a long line of monkeys. I mean, sure, that's true. He's the epitome of professions that exist for the sake of existing. Temporal sucks. Over the line, they evolved to wearing a scarf. Okay. Turn brain on. That was in reference to the review. Just missing a top hat. I could sport a top hat. It would be terrible, but I could sport it. Monocle and a top hat. We're just going full British on this. Okay. Uh-huh. I liked the video so you get more popular so more people see me making fun of you. Sounds like a good deal, Adam. Sounds like a fair trade. It's not nice to make fun of temporal. When have we been concerned about being nice? Come on now. Uh, Uh, do you have a review schedule or is it just random? I mean, I schedule reviews with people. Other times they just say, nah, just do it whenever I just want it done type thing, and we get it done. Tryouts for what? For their varsity team. They have multiple club teams and they have people on the campus, and then there's incoming freshmen, so there's tryouts to determine who's going to be varsity. Do you need to be a student at Northeastern University to try out for Northeastern University? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. What league would Northeastern be considered in? So they are part of collegiate, and in collegiate, the biggest tournament is the national tournament hosted by Blizzard. Last season, it had more than 300 teams in it, and it's considered. TESPA would have been its former name, but Blizzard has retired that name. It's the Overwatch Collegiate Cup national tournament thing, and it's the big tournament for the year. Besides that, they are in the what is it, ESC conference, and that's probably one of the more serious. That would be like a regional conference. Has some good schools in it. It's got probably three relevant schools in it. Last season it had probably three relevant schools in it: Northeastern, Miami, Ohio, and I'm blanking on the third school. Oh well, it had like 12 or 14 schools in it or something, but about three of them might have considered relevant in the National League in terms of okay, they could be top 16, top 32, that sort of thing. Um, and then there's other things cropping up. Like over the summer, we didn't participate in it, but there was the Cheez It tournament that happened. There's a NACE League happening. There is, let me take one more look here. There's the Hue Invitational. There's other tournaments that happen, but the biggest main tournament is the Blizzard hosted one, and probably the next most important thing, the next league that they participate in at Northeastern is ESC. They also have won for like the last 4 or 5 years the Boston tournament for local schools there, hosted by the Uprising Academy. Okay. There we go. Until I realized it was a meme, I was getting pretty upset about Adam. Yeah, Adam's fine. You're coaching a team. I was like, man, didn't even do anything. Who would unironically be so rude to a random Overwatch coach? So if Owl fails, could College Overwatch be the new Owl? So I think in some ways it will be, but if Owl fails, that's a huge blow to the scene. Let's not kid ourselves. In some ways it could be though, because I think Owl has not done a fantastic job of actually adapting and adding the big thing that was supposed to make Overwatch League different than previous esport leagues and supposed to be the missing, secret ingredient to make it all work was supposed to be regional. It was supposed to be you have a home team. You have your San Francisco Shock, your LA Valiant, your Chicago team didn't happen. Your um, Philadelphia Fusion. You have all of your teams, your New York Excelsior, that are like, okay, they're tied to their place, and that brings you a built-in fan base. That was supposed to be the secret ingredient to Overwatch League that would make it more successful than previous sports and justify the bigger buy-in and let them scale up, etc. And it didn't really happen. And we've talked on this channel many times before about why it didn't really happen in terms of how they didn't handle certain season carryover very well, how they probably weren't insistent enough that by season 3 teams be ready to do it. Lots of things there. We've covered that. But collegiate follows that same principle. Except with a more rabid fan base. Like, you have your school that you built in get to be a fan for. Like, that is a built-in fan base. It has people of the right age group to consistently be fans there to be fans. It's really got a better and the infrastructure is already there. It doesn't require the silly amount of investment that Owl does to make it happen. So in some ways, yeah, I think people could get more excited about that and all of that. That said, it wasn't treated as seriously enough previously. I'd say last year people started to figure it out, and that's why you will see this year it is going to be very competitive because you're seeing a lot of contenders players. Before you had some contenders players in it, but you had about 3 really good teams in it that were just like, hey, these are a lot of former contenders players, and you'll recognize everyone on the roster. Now you're seeing more and more players go into it. Like, this is a serious upgrade this season that we're heading into in terms of the level of competition. And I expect that, again, I'm not saying that collegiate is going to be better than contenders this year, um, but it's on the path. Contenders does not have as bright a future in the medium term even as collegiate. That said, Owl. There's sunk cost stuff going on there where people have already spent their money for their buy-ins. We'll see there. We'll see. Okay. So competitive Overwatch replacing Owl. Or no, Cow being college Overwatch. Probably not there yet. I could only imagine some disgruntled person who got bench spam. I don't know, man. I mean, Angry Llama gets it consistently. No, not more Llama. Let's not get into that again. Temporal needs to review Llama's latest videos. Oh boy, you're getting right into it. Watching Llama play Monkey and Gold was so painful. Do these tournaments have cash prizes? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's because it's collegiate, frequently there's scholarships prizes, so it's a little more okay. It has to be used in somewhat specific ways, but effectively cash, given that these students are, do have these things that they have to spend this cash on, their school. Maybe reverting to a more organic tournament structure would be better. It could be, but the damage that would be done, like, it would be a big fall before it got better type thing, and it would be sort of toxic to even touch for a little bit in terms of there's no money there, etc. Like, it would hurt the scene for Owl to collapse. Don't kid ourselves. It could long term be like, oh hey, it gets to build up organically again. But I don't know how much that's going to happen in this era. The slow organic buildup of a game that was once big that then fell, like, in the era of games getting constantly patched. I don't know. That's the sort of thing that would have been easier to happen in a previous era of video gaming, where your competitive video game got patched once every, I don't know, 6 years. I think the college thing could really take off. I do too. Make scholarship rewards exactly. Where my SE team at? Seems like a huge amount of wins for Collegiate Overwatch. They need to focus on Collegiate Overwatch since there's no more sponsors for L. True. The brand of Overwatch would suffer, but Grassroots is probably healthier. I would agree with both of those things, but you'd have to do a lot of damage to get to the point where you can then build the Grassroots. More than it already has? Yes. Yes, more than it already has. Okay, that's going to do it for now. I'm flooded with Discord messages. We'll see if one of those is a coaching request. Otherwise, I have others I can do, or if that's all tryout stuff or what. But I'll be back in a few minutes. It might be closer to 10 than 5, but I'll be back in a few minutes for another review. If you guys want to make sure you're here for this review, the best way to do that is to join my Discord in the description below. And in there, you can go down to get notifications, react to become a watcher, and then you'll get pings when I go live. So you can see, oh, Temporal is covering this hero at this rank, or he's reviewing this guide, or he's covering this bit of news, or he's talking about what collegiate Overwatch looks like. We'll probably do a little bit more of that, actually, now that we're heading into season here. All those good things. So if you want to see when those happens, you can be here to be a part of it. You can become a watcher in the Discord. If you're just enjoying the content, I deeply appreciate that too. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.